Since I landed here in Manhattan on Tuesday, I've had a chance to talk with a lot of you about our program and how crowdsourcing plays a key role in making that happen. From the folks at Lenovo that I met on Tuesday, to Amy, and I'm not sure if Amy's out there, I'm not going to make her raise her hand, but yesterday, she was a particularly effective muse in terms of helping me think about what we're doing in this program. Now, lesson one from the crowd that I'm going to ask you to listen for in the talk is this. You know, you will hear lots of tasks that we do with the crowd. But what I want you to think about is the way we've used the crowd to fundamentally change the nature of our brand's relationship with its users. That's the biggest accomplishment of this program. The second thing I'm going to do in the talk is talk to you about a journey. Because it's not about a singular contest, it's about a series of events that we do with our users that bring them along on this journey that's transforming our relationship with them. So, Huggies MomInspired. Let me start here. I want to start here by describing the way we typically innovate at Kimberly-Clark and the way we're using the crowd to challenge our innovation model. So if you look at the chart, on the left-hand side is our typical innovation process. This is the customer or consumer-focused innovation model. And on the right-hand side, going all over to the side that says co-creation, is how we're using the crowd to disrupt that model. Now, I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong, but what I'm saying as innovators in a company, it's almost our obligation to try to experiment with the way we innovate. So on the left-hand side, let's talk about this because I think it reflects some of the tensions in our journey to get crowdsourcing up and running at Kimberly-Clark. So if you think about the customer or consumer-focused model, you know, what's the central entity there, right? It's Kimberly-Clark. Right? It's sort of like the Oz model, right? We are the great and powerful Oz. We have all the knowledge, and if you are worthy, we will give new things to you, okay? But all the activity happens within the boundaries of Kimberly-Clark. If you move to the co-creation model that we're creating with crowdsourcing, really the spotlight is on the crowd. Okay, that's where the action's happening. That's where the intellect is at. That's where all the activity is occurring. If you think about the next row and talk about the degree of consumer or customer involvement, if you think about how we typically innovate at Kimberly-Clark, what we're saying is we're doing innovation for you. You know, we may talk to you about what you need, translate that, develop your requirements, and give you a product, but we're serving you as the innovator. That whole model gets flipped on its side, turned over, when we talk about what's the degree of consumer involvement in co-creation. Because there the innovation is happening by the consumer, by our user, and we're playing a role in enabling that to happen. Okay? We are serving their needs and trying to fill their gaps in terms of what they need to innovate. So think about the role of the organization, right? In one place, you're the innovator. In another place, you're the coordinator and the enabler. When you start to talk about senior leaders in your organization about crowdsourcing and the role that it can play, you need to realize some of these transformational things that you're asking them to embark upon with you. Not the innovator, but the enabler of innovation. It's a huge difference in terms of mindset and behavior. The next one down is frankly the one that scares the crap out of people, right? It's the level of control you have. When you are innovating for the consumer, you've got control, right? You decide on what the timeline is. Okay, maybe arbitrary control, right? But we can write down a CPS schedule, right? We can decide how much money is going to be tried to get to the next stage. We can even forecast our innovation pipeline over the next 5 years. Probably isn't right, but we can do those sort of things. It makes us feel comfortable, right? When you go to the co-creation model, think about talking to some senior leader about, well, we're placing a bunch of bets. We're not sure which companies are going to be successful. We're not exactly sure which pace they're going to move through. We have some general idea. You know, I've been thrown out of more than one office, okay, having that sort of discussion. Now, why would you ever do this? Okay, the payoff is in the last row. When you think about the richness of ideas, the amount of innovation you can bring, if you're doing it in a customer or consumer-focused way, you can only do a small number of things. First, right, the number of talented people are only those really within inside of Kimberly-Clark. The budget is only that which Kimberly-Clark has, and while it might seem limitless to most of you in the room, it's limited, believe me. The number of people is also limited. And what we get are the ideas that we're used to getting. We get a lot of great ideas on how to do diapers and wipes better under our Huggies brand franchise. But we get none of the other stuff, okay? The benefit for us in doing co-creation that I hope you see in the talk is the idea, scope, and quality just explodes, right? The ideas are incredibly abundant, right? And from going from just diaper and wipes ideas, we have a myriad of ideas that help us fulfill our brand promise of liberating the joy of parenting that go well beyond the diaper and wipe solutions that we provide. Okay, so here's the challenge for you. Another reason, I probably wasn't physically looking in a mirror when I was starting to think about crowdsourcing at Kimberly-Clark, but this is sort of my mirror exercise, okay? And so it's your mirror, so I'm putting the mirror up for all of you. Who here is bold enough, okay, to say that they have perfect knowledge of their consumer or their customer's needs? Okay. If you did, I'd probably have a few follow-up questions for you, okay? But this is one of the issues associated with the way we've typically done work at Kimberly-Clark. We believe we can ask the right questions, right? Interpret the right answers, right? Translate those well into product requirements and get the right product out there. Does that always work? No. There's a bunch of potential errors associated with that, right? Second one down is, I am the great and mighty Oz and I can predict the future. Well, Jason from NASA yesterday showed us that innovation pipeline. I think that's the best picture of insanity I've ever seen, okay? Because what that says is we can pick winners, okay? And we can pick winners and get down to here's the 1 or 2 projects that are going to change the future of our organization. I'm not that good. There's got to be a better way, okay? We've dealt with this issue. You've heard it in many of the talks. All the best ideas don't live within inside of Kimberly-Clark. As far as mom and baby solutions, many of them live outside. How do we get access to them? I was talking to my colleague Brian over there. I won't embrace Brian too much, but we share the same issue inside of the company, which is, I've got enough money. Nobody threw more cash my way to do my work. Nobody threw more resources my way to do any work. We're all living in a constrained and limited world. How do we break out of that? So another thing that was part of the journey on getting to crowdsourcing was looking at what others were doing. We've heard some of these examples in the Starbucks model with its good and its challenges. An inspiration for us was the whole development of the Lego Mindstorms kits and how Lego was reaching out to their user base to co-create those new kits to challenge their users. And of course things like the Linux operating system, and I think it's a marvelous story of co-creation. So those were both sources of inspiration to us and sources of thinking about what has been done well and what might be opportunity areas that we can seize upon and do a little bit better. Sometimes you don't expect to find the things that you're looking for that ultimately provide the greatest inspiration for why you do something. This is this chart. As we were thinking about reaching out to our crowd, who we've defined as moms with children who are starting up businesses, we learned a few facts. We learned that there are 6 million entrepreneurial moms in the US. The number blew me away. I had absolutely no idea. More importantly, what we learned was that less than 3% of all the venture capital money, all the financial investment available to startups in general, go to the greater than 10 million female-owned businesses in the US. That's a massive discrepancy between where the innovation's happening and where the money's flowing to. And this is despite women starting businesses at 2x the rate of men. Okay? We did some research of our own and it said that moms' most significant startup issue was getting access to financial resources. I can't tell you the number of moms we spoke to that said, I can't go to the next step with my company because I've maxed out borrowing against my 401k, because it represents going to Emily's college fund and taking the money that's going to send her to university and betting it on my enterprise. It's a huge, very substantial, very real barrier. And if you look at that, you just have to say, I say, this is just wrong. I have stronger words for it. If we're a brand in Huggies that are going to serve the needs of moms, we have to be part of solving this problem. And part of the objective of this program is to solve this problem in a small and hopefully more substantial way over the years. So why did we do it? What does it get down to in terms of all of this background, right? Well, we realized that, Kimberly-Clark just cannot invest at the rate that we have to keep pace with the innovation requirement of the marketplace. And furthermore, we've got this beautiful brand in Huggies, It does $8.3 billion in sales behind diapers and wipes. Huggies can stand for a lot more in terms of products and services we offer consumers, but we just can't get there because we can't spend the money internally, spend the resources internally to access all of that opportunity space. I said it before, truly believe this is part of my DNA, which is as innovators, we're challenged to change the way we think about innovation dilemmas. I think we had a great example from GE around the democratization of innovation. I think, the world is a place where innovation can happen anywhere. We need to figure out how to reach and become part of that. And the other piece that goes along with that complexity of where do you find innovation is the prediction question, right? Which is the world's a more complex place. And I think our ability to reach out and say, this is what we should do, is complicated by that fact. We need to be about being able to build scenarios, giving ourselves more options that don't predict the future, but allow us to be in a position where we can react to the future as it reveals itself to us. All right, we're going to talk, moms are going to introduce the program, and then I'll come back and speak to you about it.
We are very honored to be a recipient of the Huggies MomInspired grant. The grant has come at a time when loans are virtually impossible to obtain, especially for startups. We will use these funds in order to expand our inventory. Thank you, Huggies MomInspired grant program, for helping me make my dream come true.
My daughter Kylie actually inspired the idea when she was learning to drink from a regular sippy cup, and she was forced to throw her head back into that traditional chug-a-lug position in order to get her juice out. And after watching this and going to playgroups and watching other kids do it, I figured there was a better way, and hence the Tilty was born.
I want to thank Kimberly-Clark for helping us by providing this Huggies MomInspired grant. What it'll do for me and the Balance Map is take us to the next level by helping us generate awareness and to fund PR in the national media.
The grant means that we'll be able to improve the design of Tilty based on feedback that we've gotten from moms on the current cup, and that we'll also be able to expand distribution to larger retailers and internationally so that we can help more moms and babies ease the transition to a regular cup.
Moms in the audience, or for those of you that know moms in the audience are starting up businesses, we will open up a new submission period this May. They can go to Huggies, www.huggiesmominspired.com and join us in this journey together to transform our brand and help their businesses grow as a consequence of that. Now, what is this program? So we're through the how did we get here to what it is, and then I'm going to talk about where it's going. Okay? The program is a grant. It provides a $15,000 grant to really advance the business of that entrepreneurial moms. And we consciously choose to do it with very few strings attached, okay? We don't give them $15,000 and say, you must do this with it, because frankly, my point of view and one of our design principles is they know better than we do. I think one of the worst things a big company can try to do is think like a small company, okay? And so the $15,000 is provided to you to figure out where you can best use it to advance your business, okay? The second, and what we ask for in return are two things, right? We're going to donate our brand equity to your venture, so we're going to ask you to follow some design principles as you use Huggies and those properties that we give you to use. And then we ask you simply, if you're moving to divest this business or take on additional investors, you make the first phone call to us. You have the first conversation with us. You're not obligated to take us on as an investor or to sell to us, but we would require you to have the first conversation with us. And that's all part of taking this journey with the mom as they build their business moving forward. Now, the money's great, okay? And I actually debated, boy, is $15,000 enough money to make a difference? And I think I had this conversation with somebody, and it struck me as, we figured out it was the right sum because we asked the crowd, okay? We went to moms and we said, hey, what's going to make a difference in terms of something beyond kind of friend and family money to get your business to the next stage? And this is what they told us. And indeed, it is transformative. Hard for me to think about it that way, but it is transformative for many moms. Now, it doesn't just stop at money, because that's not all a mom starting up a business needs. They've told us, hey, we need knowledge, okay? And so if you visit our website, you are linked to some basic business information that's provided by a third party that saw this program and said, hey, you guys are doing some great things. We're going to donate all our knowledge about how to start up an S Corp, how to do your tax filings, where to get, what are the basic principles around accounting. And they've joined this society that we're building as a partner who wants nothing more than to contribute and to have some recognition for doing so. Okay? Now the other piece is another one, unexpected thing, right? Moms have come to us and they've said, listen, I'm designing a new package, right? But what do I really know about that first moment of truth and getting the right mix of communication for the consumer? So what we experimented with that's worked really well is using Kimberly-Clark mentors, like folks out of our design studio, to sit down and talk to these moms and help guide them through that process, okay? We're not doing it for them. We're building their knowledge so they can do it. And the unexpected benefits are numerous. One is moms get access to top talent to do these tasks that they wouldn't afford otherwise. Win for them. But the surprising win for us was we get better employees, because our employees get a huge shot in the arm from a motivational standpoint, plus they learn how to think like entrepreneurs again. I mean, one of the things a big company will beat the crap out of you on is with processes and checklists and procedures, you will forget how to think like an entrepreneur if you were before. And so our employees get reminded of that. It's been a huge benefit in terms of the program. One thing that's to come, we hope, in terms of actual specifics, had a chance, and I'll talk later about additional venture funding from Kimberly-Clark into these programs. But our chief financial officer has said, as we think about a venture board to invest in another round of the development of these businesses, let's have the company's top female talent sit on that venture board. What another great idea to embed what you're doing into the DNA of the organization. The last piece is community. Okay? We've set up some places where these moms can aggregate and share problems and share solutions. And what we've seen are behaviors like, if you're a mom who has an idea but hasn't captured an intellectual property yet, a mom who's further along that's in our program will help you through that process. And make those connections has been a part of creating confidence amongst the moms and also providing them with the knowledge to move forward. Now, here are some of the inventions. And as somebody in the consumer goods business, this is the chart that just continues to amaze me, okay? Allison Phillips lives in San Diego. She's a mom, you heard her talk in the video. She's developed the Tilty Cup. She's got 2 patents on the Tilty Cup. And the Tilty Cup, I think, is a great exemplification of what this program is about, because it takes the mom who's in the trenches, that's dealing with the issue with baby, and says, sippy cups have flaws. And the biggest flaw in a sippy cup is to get the last liquid out, the sippy cup needs to go like this above the toddler's head, and what inevitably happens? A failure that leads to a spill and a mess, right? And it's not a pleasant experience for mom, which usually means not a pleasant experience for baby. So Allison says, I can change that, right? I can change the internal geometry of a Tilty Cup, and I can make it so the last liquid will come out before the cup reaches that position where it will fail in the toddler's hands. It's a beautiful innovation. I get embarrassed not being able to think about it, but yet it's the essence of why this program works. Because the solutions are defined by those that have the problem, and we enable them to develop that solution and bring it forward. Amy Baxter's a pediatrician in Atlanta, Georgia. Amy has seen a problem every day since she's opened her practice up, which is shots hurt. Right? Shots hurt the children that are receiving the shots. Shots hurt the mom who needs to watch the pain and anguish of their toddler or baby getting a shot. And shots hurt the physician that really doesn't want to be dealing with that entire situation. So Amy's developed a device called Buzzy. It uses vibration and cold to basically distract the nerve impulses around the injection site. And our funding has allowed her to complete the clinical work on that, which has then allowed her to sell it into hospitals and physicians' office in the Atlanta area and beyond. Romy Tarmina has said, even before the baby arrives, there are issues, okay? And one of those big issues is morning sickness. So can I think about techniques around acupressure that have been used for things like motion sickness to relieve morning sickness? Romy's been very successful in proving those solutions and building them into a business she calls Cybands. Well, Romy's one of our grant recipients, and we're really happy to say that if you watch Shark Tank this Friday, okay, on your favorite ABC network, you will see Romy and her product in front of the sharks, okay, looking for another round of funding to advance her business. And we take great pride in we're able to get Romy to that point in her entrepreneurial journey. So what have we garnered out of all of this, right? So where are we at after doing this for 4 years now? We've got about 1,800 grant applications. They've grown year on year, okay? We're journeying forward now with actually greater than 21 grant recipients. We're up to about 30. We've passed out $500,000 in funding. In terms of changing how consumers think about our brands, we're now well north of 58 million positive impressions of our brand. And the impression we're creating is this: Huggies believes so much in its target user base that it's willing to invest money in that target user base to help them solve problems that Huggies can't. It's a great story, and it's a story that's being told over and over again, especially by the entrepreneurs that we funded as just outstanding ambassadors of our brand. Now, we also have invested behind conferences like Moms in Business Unite, which was started up by 2 or 3 entrepreneurs in San Diego. They're all about teaching moms in business how to be successful. Our funding has allowed them to take that conference to multiple cities. 2 purposes here, right? If we're going to get good ideas, we have to invest in the infrastructure to have these good ideas come forward. And the second piece is this. If you think about the relationship with the brand, we have to be very careful about how we tell moms that we're not accepting a grant, okay? In a way, it's like telling a mom their baby is ugly, and that's a huge mistake, okay? So what we offer is something else, okay? Your grant was great. We really would like to see it be successful. It needs some work, and here's what we're going to do. You've got a conference nearby you. We're going to send you to this conference to help you build the skills to be successful the next time out, okay? So that's the message. Rather than you have an ugly baby, it's your baby can get prettier and we're willing to help you do that, okay? We've been able to take the program outside the US to Australia. We've gotten some recognition around the use of social media to drive innovation. And we're very happy with that. But I think that begs the question of what's next. And this is the concept that we're playing with, which is, how does Huggies go beyond somebody that sells as a brand diapers and wipes to somebody that represents the best innovation in the baby and child care space? And we think the idea is roughly this, which is we create a marketplace, okay? And we create a marketplace by having some great stuff that we make and sell, but more importantly, we create in these businesses that we provided grants to, the scale in them to satisfy the demand that's created by our marketplace. So you have a Huggies diaper, but you have Romy Termita Cybands. You have a Huggies wipe, but you also have Allison Phillips Tilty Cup. Okay? You have Amy Baxter's Buzzy. And so the marketplace represents a place not where Kimberly-Clark is just selling diapers and wipes, but it represents a place where moms can go to see the Huggies brand really curating the best in innovation that's happening in this space. That's our ambition. That's what we're working against. Okay. So just, if I had the last talk of yesterday, this might have been more appropriate before cocktail hour, but I wanted to leave you with a couple of just whimsical thoughts, okay? I always find the innovator that's able to draw on a napkin like the most inspirational person in the room. So here's a chance for you all to be inspirational, okay? I came across a couple of doodles in Forbes. I want to credit Jessica Hagee with this and say, the world can be described in a couple of big circles sometimes. One is the innovations that are right in front of us as one circle, and the innovations that are right for us. And I think we need to remember that the intersection between the two is very small, right? Which is often why we settle for what's available versus why we strive for something that's great. Another one that kind of keeps me moving is the 3-circle model, right? So we get in a room to think about something that's new, and some of us say, sure, let's do that. Some of us say, fine, Some of us are a little late waking up in the morning and say, yeah, whatever, I'm on board. But there's a real big difference to being agreeable and agreeing to everything. And the intersection of sure, fine, and whatever is where, right, the stuff that we end up doing but ultimately hate resides. Okay? Be careful. Be careful of those circles. So anyway, thanks for your attention. I know David's going to moderate some Q&A.
Yeah.